Hi everyone, I welcome you all to the detailed and practical course on construction cost estimation. So this is the very first section and the very first video in the entire series. Here we will be understanding what exactly cost estimation is and what is the importance of estimating cost accurately in construction industry. So before moving to the exact definition with reference to construction, I would take a very small and general example to help you grasp the concept of cost estimation easily. So, suppose you are a travel agent and there is a university in your area who is planning to send their students to a trip. Suppose they are planning to send, let us say, 10 students to a trip in a certain city, and that trip is for 5 days. So they have asked certain quotations from different travel agents, and whosoever will be taking their students in the cheapest amount, that particular travel agent will be given that particular task of taking them. Okay, so you will be starting your work to bid for that particular job now. So suppose they have given you 10 days of time to bid for that 5 days trip. So in those 10 days, what you will do complete research and analysis. You will take a pen and paper on day one and you will be plotting your itinerary for the 5 days trip. You will be taking a call on how you'll be arranging the travel, whether you'll be taking a driver on hire, or whether you'll be taking the minibus or certain other vehicle, what will be the higher charges. Then you'll be taking the cost of the fuel also into picture. Then you'll be planning on accommodation also, where you'll be taking the students for stay, how you'll be serving them food, whether you'll be deploying your own cooks or you'll be taking the food from external agencies. Then you'll be planning the itinerary also on day one, what all places you will take them for, on second day, third day, similarly on fifth day, how will they return, how much will be the entry ticket fees for every particular location, how much will be the cost for entertainment. So you will be preparing and everything, and you will be estimating the cost for those 5 days trip of the students. You also have to take into account the number of students that you are taking. So here the number of students is 10. So you have to take that into consideration also to calculate the entire cost, because accommodation, food, conveyance, everything will be dependent on the number of students. Okay. So suppose you have arrived to a certain cost, which is, let us say, $20,000. That this is the total cost that has to be incurred in taking the students to trip. You have to give them quotation to the university. So whether you will be giving them a quotation of $20,000, definitely no, because you are spending your time, you are spending your resources and energy to take them. You have to have something in your pocket also by the end of the trip. So instead of quoting $20,000, which is going to be incurred for sure, you will be quoting some $10,000 extra. So totally you will be quoting $30,000 for the trip. Okay, now that $10,000, whatever you'll be quoting extra, that is totally dependent on you. How much profit you want to make, how is your business performing, what is the market value, everything you'll be considering, and then only you'll be quoting. Also, you have to see, you have to win against other competitors also, other travel agents also. So maybe instead of quoting 10,000 extra, you might quote 5,000 extra or 7,000 extra. So instead of quoting $30,000, you plan to quote for $25,000. Now you'll be making only $5,000 extra. But after you execute the trip, suppose you win that particular order and now you have to take the students to the trip. So after those 5 days trip, you analyzed that maybe during the course of the trip, your vehicles had a breakdown. So because of that, you had to spend, let us say, $1,000 extra. So now instead of making $5,000, you are only able to get $4,000 in your pocket. So this is called as a contingency or a risk that you did not anticipate during your quotation process. Okay, so this is exactly what happens in the case of construction sector, wherein there is a certain owner or there is a certain client who wants to create a facility, who wants to construct a facility, or let us say a building. Let us say they want a hospital building to be constructed. So they will be reaching out to several contractors who will be doing their cost estimation. That means who will be calculating the total cost to build that particular facility, on which they will be adding certain profit, or which is also called as markup amount, that will go partly in their pocket depending on the risk and contingency. So this exactly is the fundamental of cost estimation. Now we will move to the definition. Construction cost estimation is a process of calculating all the required cost to execute a project as per the requirements of the client. The client wants you to do a certain scope of work. For that, your tendering team, what they will do, they will totally break the scope of work, and every item by item, they will be calculating the total cost. They will add the cost of all the items over that particular cost. They will add certain contingency, they will add certain profit margin, and certain other items that we'll be studying subsequently. So that will be called as the bid price. So whatever process you followed to arrive to that bid price is called as the cost estimation. Now the cost will include all the site operations cost, like there will be direct cost, certain cost that will go directly into the activity. For example, you have to do your reinforcement activity at site. So there will be certain labor who will be only involved in doing the reinforcement bending work, cutting work, laying work, and so on. Then material cost, your reinforcement cost will be there, then cover blocks will be there, certain binding wires will be there, and so on. Then equipment cost, certain cutters and bending machines will be there that you'll be deploying for cutting the rebars. Then maybe certain subcontractor you'll be hiring for a certain task. Okay, so all this cost will come under the umbrella of direct cost, which means whatever is directly contributing to a certain activity. Then there will be other element called as indirect cost, which is nothing but all the cost that is not directly contributing to one activity, but instead it is common to different number of activities. Like your staff who is working, your staff is not working just for one activity. Your staff in planning who is sitting, in execution whosoever is sitting, they are taking care of the entire building of the entire project. Then utilities, maybe water you have to give, power facilities you have to give at site, then temporary structures, conveyance, travel, and so on. So all the cost that you will be calculating is called as the cost estimation. But as a part of bidding, contractors usually add a certain markup to this cost, which covers the risk, contingency, profit margin, and general overheads incurred at the head office. You also have some head office staff. So their cost will also be coming in your bid, but not fully, because head office staff is also involved in other projects. So some part of the cost will be coming to this particular project as a certain percentage. Exactly everything will be understanding later in the video series, but right now you should understand that there is a certain cost that will definitely be incurred. Over that, you have to take certain contingency and certain profit margin, like we did in the case of travel agency. We took $20,000 as the cost that will be incurred for sure. Over that, we quoted $5,000 extra, which was our profit margin, and whatever risk we will incur, that has to be deducted from that $5,000 only. Just like our vehicle broke down, so $1,000 we had to spend through those $5,000. Okay. So the estimates, now what is the significance of accurately estimating the cost? See, I told you, as a travel agent, I had to quote. So I had to make sure that my estimate should not be too high, because I have to compete with other travel agents also. If my estimate will be too high, some other fellow travel agent will win the job and I will lose. So there is no point of giving a bid price which is too high. Also, your estimate should not be so low that you end up making loss. Suppose instead of quoting 25,000, you would have quoted $21,000. So during the execution, you incurred the loss due to that vehicle breakdown. So ultimately, whatever 21,000 you quoted for, ultimately you will not be making any money, because that $1,000 that you quoted extra also went in the risk and contingency. So it should not be so less that you do not make any profits or you go into loss. So this is the significance of cost estimation, that if it will be too high, you will not be able to win the job. If it will be too low, then you will end up making zero profit, or you will end up going into a loss for that particular project. So that is why your cost estimation should be very accurate, very precise, and whatever is the profit margin and markup amount that you are quoting, that should be decided after doing proper research and analysis. So the estimates should be as close as possible to the actual cost for a contractor, for two reasons. If the estimates are on a lower side, the contractor, even if he is likely to win the bid, may have to bear monetary losses at the time of execution. Second point is, if the estimates are on a very higher side, the likelihood of winning the bid is very less. Okay, so I hope you understood the exact meaning and definition of cost estimation and how significant cost estimation is in reference to the construction industry. So in the further videos, we'll be going into depth of all the cost estimations. Very practically, we'll be understanding each and every element associated with the cost and markup. So that's all for the video. Thank you, everyone.